Your hosts, Landon and Jade, are a married couple of 17 years and counting, are here to give you a swift kick in the ass. There will be some tough love, but we are here to support you to the greatest life you can have. We will bring the sarcasm and humor. You just bring yourself. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Backroads to Us podcast. Today we're going to talk about masculinity. I want to kind of dive into why women feel masculinity is such a bad thing. I feel like masculinity is getting like this big derogatory thing, that it's such a horrible thing to have, and I really feel it's the exact opposite, because masculinity isn't the issue. The absence of it is. So when a man is really weak, he is not masculine at all. Those men, they're abusive, they're spiteful, they're just mean people because they are not masculine. They're not strong in themselves. They're not confident in themselves. So they usually take it out on somebody else, usually the women that are in their lives. Now, a strong masculine man is going to be the person who protects you. He loves you. He provides for you. Those men are masculine. And from what I'm seeing, ladies, that's the exact guy you are looking for. And yet you're dogging on the guy being masculine, being a man. And I just don't really understand the correlation here on, do you guys even understand what masculine is? Do you even understand what it means to be a masculine man? And for the women to support and love that man, to have him be more of that for you. Because I can tell you, for me, I'm not going to want a man who isn't going to provide and love me and protect me. That's the kind of man I'm going to marry. That's the kind of man I want. I guess if you want the man who's abusive to you, go for it. But that's not what I'm going for.
You got to be first off confident yourself. I mean, because if you're not confident in who you are, there's no sense of that masculinity, you know, because there's a lot of people you see walking around the streets today that this very feminine male figure has been promoted by society for some reason. Mm-hmm. And you can just tell by even just a physical stature or just that person that if something goes wrong, they're not protecting anybody. They're going to run. They're going to do whatever they have to do to protect themselves instead of doing the role that, you know, even back genetically or back just through time that the male role was made for. I mean, they're there to protect children, women, their wife, their kids. And some of these guys you see walking around, that society's promoted such this feminine persona in men that'll never happen. You can just see it by looking at somebody, and that's you know, it can be bad to say because you're judging somebody off the way they look, but you can tell the way they act and the way they hold themselves that they can't. You know, they walk around staring at their phone. They walk around not making eye contact with people. If you walk around and make eye contact with someone that, say, is a predator or a bad person, and they see you see them, and you make eye contact and you know very well that I am aware of that you're there, they're not likely to come over to you and do something because you were aware that that person's there and you have enough of a physical stature that you're a threat to them, that they're not going to approach you because they understand that you recognize who they are and that they're in the room, you know. So it's just part of being and confident in yourself and being able to have that within you, and that's something you have to work on, and society's trying to weed that out of people, I think.
Yeah, because I think it promotes someone strong who can stand against other people,
right.
Society,
things
like
that. It's one of those things where are you a leader or a follower?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that can take it a little further than what we're talking about, but I mean that's can tie into it.
Well, I think, like you said, when you make eye contact with somebody else and you let them know that you see them, it's like it's an alpha thing.
Well, there's
it's
a lot of there is,
you.
and there's a lot of a protection instinct in that as well. With, you know, people talking about having your head on a swivel and situational awareness. Like, people walk out of a grocery store and their head's buried in their phone and they have no idea on earth what's going on around them. They don't know if there's a threat. They don't know. They couldn't protect someone even if they wanted to, because they're so tied up in a social media, their phone or a text message or an email. Put your phone away and look around and see what's going on, and just be aware of the situation around you. And so many people have lost that because of social media, their phones, because your entire life revolves around your phone. Yeah. So their head's buried in it 24/7.
Yeah, because if we go somewhere, I rely on you. I mean, I do it as well, but I rely on you to be the person that if something goes wrong, I can count on you to help me in the situation. I'm not saying do all of it, because I want to be a part of that too. But if something goes bad, you being the man and my protector, I have expectations of you helping me. I don't expect you to dive behind me when something happens. I mean, that's not what I want. And that's why I think masculine men are so important, because they are the ones that dive in front of them, dive on top of their families when things happen. They are the ones who put their lives in front of everybody else. And we sit here and say, well, I don't want a masculine man because they think they're better than me. Well, no, they're not, but they are made for a certain situation and they need to be
Well, I
masculine
mean,
for that.
there's a guy that that he's I like watching. There's a lot of people that don't like him because of his way he comes off, but Jordan Peterson. If you ever look him up, he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about how you need to be a monster. You need to be physically strong. You need to be able to physically inflict harm on somebody, and then you need to learn how to control it. And that is part of that masculinity is can I do this? Yes. But will I? No. Unless the situation puts me in there that I need to do that, where yeah, I can be a monster. I can be physically aggressive. I can physically hurt somebody, but am I going to do that? No, because I control it, because I have control over myself being masculine. I am confident in myself to the point where I don't need to do that. But if the situation presented itself, could I? Yes. And that's the whole point there. You're there to protect whoever's with you, whether you're out with your niece, your nephew, your kid, your wife, your mom, your mother-in-law, whoever you're out with. You need to be in a position that you can actually protect them if it comes down to it. And it doesn't mean you need to be the asshole and be out there being ignorant to people and being rude, because you can control that situation. You can control that aggression. And if you need to use it, it's there.
Yeah, and I think sometimes men feel like they have to be the biggest guy. And some men just aren't. They're just not built large. And I get that. We're not saying you got to be this big monster, but you can be smart. You can be aware of your situations. You can learn how to use your strengths that you have. I mean, just because being a masculine man doesn't mean you have to look like Thor. I mean,
No,
you can.
but I mean, you watch a lot of these guys are in, they train mixed martial arts or whatever they do. So some of the guys in the lighter weights, you watch their skills and they could do physical harm to quite a large person. It's just because of the training but they're preparing themselves. But you don't see all these, boxers and mixed martial artists and guys who train jiu-jitsu and all this stuff. They're not out there just beating up people on the street. Mm-hmm. Now, if they had to, could they? Yes. But they have enough control about themselves because they're masculine enough that they could, but they don't. I mean, if they needed to protect their wife or their girlfriend, they could. But they're not out there doing that because they have control of themselves. The same situation like he's talking about. They can physically be a monster, but they have control over it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we're losing that in society today.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the toxic, because I feel like when you said that control, that's 100%. A toxic masculine man, who's not masculine, let's say he's an unhealthy one, they're going to be abusive. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be too competitive, controlling, mentally unstable. They're going to be cold and distant. Like, these are signs of an unhealthy man who does not, like you said, he doesn't control himself. He has all of these issues that he feels like, I hate to say this, but it's usually the smaller guys, the guys who
they call it the little man syndrome.
Yeah. I feel like those are the men, because they feel like they gotta like mad dog everybody when they see them. So they gotta come off as stronger than you. They gotta come off meaner.
And this seems to be like a big show.
Yeah.
Like, look at me. Like, I mean, nobody cares. Like, they're out of control.
Yeah.
They have no control. Like, they're trying to prove a point where, most people that are masculine, I don't have anything to prove. Mm-hmm. I don't need to prove how strong I am, or if you're big, or most of these guys. It's, like I said, the situation comes around, I can use what I need to use to defend myself, but I'm not going around trying to prove how big I am or prove that you're strong. But you're unsecure in yourself, then yeah, you're the guy that's out there running his mouth and you're acting like you're tough and you're trying to put on this big show. Like, look at me. Like, what are you trying to prove? Mm-hmm. Why are you trying to prove this? Like, nobody cares. Have control over it.
Yeah, they're always the assholes. Like,
yeah, you don't have to do that.
Those people, like, I just do not like those people. They set me off as soon as I see them. Like, I just want to get away from them, because they're like unstable. You get around them and you don't know what's going to set them off. If you say one thing and all of a sudden they're just going to fly off the handle.
Constantly trying to fight somebody or whatever. Yeah.
And they're usually the guys, those men are the guys that when they meet women, that they act like a playboy. They act all sweet and they try to get you in bed, but they really are the biggest dicks that I've ever met. Like, they are the ones that they'll get you, and then they're so derogatory to you. They are condescending. They are controlling. It's like you can just see it by their stature and the way that they hold themselves and the way they talk to other men, and you can see when they're around other men.
Well, and
how
there's
they
a big
try
part
to
of that too, is like, how respectful are you?
yeah.
I mean, you can be masculine and be extremely respectful. I mean, there's you can always tell that type of person how respectful they are, but you don't know who that person is. I mean, everything's just under control.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest bikers are always the sweetest people.
Yeah, and
They're just
some
the
of those guys have a
nicest.
bad persona because of who they are. Like,
Yeah.
people look at him and say, "Well, there's a biker. The guy's he's got to be in a gang, or he's got to be a bad person because he's covered in tattoo. He's got long hair." You meet a lot of these guys, and most of these guys would be the first person to take their shirt off and give it to you off their own back if you needed it. They would be at your house helping you move because, you take the time just to meet them. Now, could they physically do bad harm to you? Yes, but they're also the nicest people in the world. They would help you with anything you needed, as long as you don't bother them, as long as you don't threaten them. You just, saying hi to them or how you doing and being respectful back and forth, and they 100% respect you as well.
Yeah. And like you said, respect, that's a huge thing. You have respect for each other, for humans
Right. You're
in
not a
general.
threat to them, so they don't bother you. It's under control at that point.
As long as you respect them, the women, the children around them, but they're the first ones that as soon as you disrespect somebody around them, even if it's not them, they'll jump right in and help and protect. That's the thing, is they are protecting other people. So let's talk about some characteristics of a masculine man in a relationship. Let's talk about a loving relationship. So they will make time for you. They practice attentive listening. They keep their promises. They'll support the other person in the relationship. A lot of times they manage the crazy of the other person. They understand that. They do things to please you. They support you and the family. Like, these are just small things. There's plenty more to go through, but a masculine man, you have to understand that he doesn't see himself better than the woman in the relationship. He sees it as a team. You guys are supporting each other. Now, when you're toxic and you're not, you, as the toxic person, is going to put yourself above that other person and make them feel bad to make yourself feel better. But when you're comfortable in yourself and in your masculinity, I feel like these are a large thing that you're going to see out of them.
Yeah, because I mean, it's got to be that two-way partnership there. Because I mean, in all reality, I mean, if say me and you disagree about something or have an argument, I mean, really, if I wanted to, I mean, I could probably put you through the wall.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, but it's a matter of that, like I said, the respecting where, hey, we're in this as a team. Can I control my anger and my aggression? 100%. So what do? We talk about it and we work through it. Like, there's no point in doing anything that's a physical harm or derogatory or making you feel unimportant or that you're not supported. It's like he's saying, like, keep that under control. Now, if something went down and I wanted to do that, could you? Yeah. But you don't, because it's a respect thing as well.
Yeah, for me, I always feel more secure when I'm around large, big men like you. Like, that makes me feel better. Like, I was attracted to you because you were bigger than me. Like, I've never wanted a male who is my same height or smaller, because I want the man, in a sense, to be large and empowering and protect me. Like, I love that feeling of it.
And it seems to be like that's more of an old school thing nowadays.
Yeah.
Like that's going away for some reason. And there are quite a few people that try to keep that going. And I think there's a little bit of that sense that it's starting to come back because more people are talking about it, because there's been such a large presence lately of people trying to take that away and make it a bad thing, that there's other people fighting the other direction saying, hey, this isn't a bad thing, because there's so many masculine men out there that aren't doing harm to people.
But they're getting dogged on about it.
They are, but I mean, that's like telling people that all cops are dicks. They're all assholes. Well, okay, there may be 2% of them out there that are that way, but that doesn't make all cops bad people. 98% of cops out there, they're going to help you. They're good people. They're trying to do their job, but they get a bad persona because of the 2%. So like there may be a few guys that are bigger that have done some things that they shouldn't have done that give that masculinity a bad name, but that's 2%. Like it's not a bad thing, and we've taken that and made it seem like it's the majority when it isn't.
Yeah, like, we have to understand that every male and female has a masculine side and a feminine side. Like, even as a female, we have masculine sides. It's just how you balance them. So for a male, when you say he's masculine, it's these things that we've talked about. Now, he can still have his feminine side of, he's in touch with his feelings. He is emotional on some things. Like, those are signs of being feminine, but being feminine that you balance it. Like, you want your male to have feminine traits, because if he's all male, I mean, he's going to be a caveman. That's not what we're going for. And same thing with the female. You want her to have some masculine in her because those are her strong areas. That's where she's, she's fierce about what she's doing. She has a passion. That is your masculine side. So we're not talking about when we say that a male is being more feminine. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about them being the unhealthy, the toxic side of it. Because a lot of to me, masculine would be like all of our guys who go into the military. They are masculine men. They're going to protect. They're going to save other people. To me, that is a very large masculine trait. Now, yes, most of them are they can be bigger. They can be smaller. We're not talking about their stature. We're just talking about their level of honor and loyalty of what they're doing for their family. So it's a emotional trait that this masculinity is. And I think us as women, instead of trying to remove that out of our men because we don't understand it, we need to support our males to have their masculinity and allow them to be males, allow them that freedom to do it.
Well, yeah, and I think too that there's some women out there that they've chosen a unmasculine person because they want 100% of the control, because
that's
true. They can boss that person around and tell them what to do with every aspect of their life, and they control everything. And that's what they want, because any masculine man out there is not going to allow that to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to control me, but and the same fact, I shouldn't be controlling you. Like you said, it's a partnership. And I think that the same thing is, if a male's insecure, he's trying to control everything, and he thinks he's better than everybody else in the family or whatever. And whether it's a physical abuse or a mental abuse, that comes off because he thinks he's better. And he's not comfortable with himself. So it's coming off in that manner.
Yeah, I think the bottom line, what you find out is that when someone who is just toxic in general, it comes down to them as a person not being confident in who they are. And so they're projecting their insecurities onto other people and trying to control the situation because it makes them feel better, or they're making you feel bad because it makes them feel better.
It should be. It's almost like they're portraying a lot of their own issues on somebody else.
Yeah, and this goes for males and females. You see that in all relationships. Usually it's very unbalanced in that situation because, I mean, we all have insecurities, but if you have someone who supports you with that, they're not going to use those insecurities as a weapon against you, kind of thing. I think the big thing for me is I just wanted women to understand that having a masculine man, it seems like in general that's what you all want, but then you get the man who's not, and then you're mad about it because that's the man you picked.
Because you're trying to control that person.
Yeah, you're trying to control him. You want the sensitive one. You want the one who's in touch with his feelings. Well, you can have that in a masculine man. You can have a sensitive masculine man, but you're getting someone, like you said, you can control. So someone who's weaker than you, so that's part of the women's fault.
Right.
They pick the man that they think.
But you should pick the masculine man and then have a decent relationship to where it's an equal partnership instead of anybody controlling anybody.
Yeah. Because I've never once in my relationship ever been afraid of Landon harming me in any way. He's big. He's bigger than me. He's twice my size. That makes me feel safe. It doesn't make me feel insecure. It doesn't make me feel scared. It makes me feel good. So that's why I don't understand why women are so afraid of the man. And I've just got to come down to the fact of it's because they can't control the man. The bigger man, the masculine man. They can't control his emotions to make him do what he wants, and that's why they say they're afraid of him. When that's not it. You want someone you can control. So that's fine. Go get the man you can.
Here lately, it's like I said, it's something that even the media or just society in general is portraying this, because it didn't seem to be that way so much back in the day, because that's just how men were raised. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're respectful. And we've lost a lot of that trait too as well. So being strong, being confident, being physically fit, whatever, and that's all part of a masculine thing, but it also can be a mental sense as well. But we're starting to lose it, because back on my grandpa's era, like, that's how men were raised. And it seems like the further we get into generations, the more we start to lose touch with that. And there's, like I said, there's a group of people out there in the world that still believe in it, and that are protectors and that would protect someone that's having harm done to them or in trouble, that controls it to where that they're at home and they're not mean to their family. They're respectful. So that's something I think that a lot of people need to work towards, and there's a lot of people that do great at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think I feel like a lot of people, when they see masculine and feminine in the female, so they see the male and the female, they feel like if they get a masculine male, he's going to be the one that says, well, you have to stay home and you got to cook and clean and take care of the kids. Like, they feel like that's the male that's going to do that. They, like, old school, do that. When in reality, I feel like the healthy masculine male is going to say, if you want a job, if you want this, okay, that's great, I'm going to support you. Where the unhealthy, the toxic one, is going to say, no, I'm going to control you and I'm going to keep you at home and you're not going to leave, and I'm going to make sure you stay exactly where I want you. You're going to cook and clean for me, and you're not going to have a life. I feel like that's more along the lines of what is actually happening. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a conversation that needed to be had, because I see it a lot. And I just feel like there's a lot of misconceptions with males being males and being masculine. Because we're not talking about, when they say boys will be boys. Boys will be boys are when they're assholes. That's when they go out and have affairs and go and do all that kind of shit. That's when that conversation is had. I'm talking about a man being confident in himself, loving and protecting, providing for his family. That's the kind of masculine male we want to see more of. We want more in this world. Okay, well, we enjoyed this conversation. Hope you guys got something out of it. Ladies, I hope it made you think a little bit. Men as well. I hope you thought a little bit about that. So thanks so much for being here, and we will see you next time.